Good morning, students. How are you? So today is 25th and Shivpuri is almost negative of the corona patients. So I hope to see you very fast. And anyhow, best of luck. And we had really very tough time. So today I will be starting translation, that is protein biosynthesis, because you know the clear-cut idea of the DNA and how this DNA is transcribed and a new RNA has been formed, and this RNA is bringing message in the form of codons from the DNA and coming to cytoplasm for the protein synthesis. I gave you the idea of the transfer RNA, but anyhow, I will show you few pictures so you will be recapitulating the transfer RNA. The pathway of protein biosynthesis is called translation. How the protein is synthesized is known as translation. Remember central dogma of genetic engineering. DNA to DNA is replication. DNA to RNA is transcription. And RNA to protein is known as the translation. Translation is the process by which ribosome convert the information carried by messenger RNA in the form of genetic code to the synthesis of new protein. I told you that we are having a messenger RNA, and in messenger RNA, the nucleotides are arranged in the form of codes, in the form of triplet, and I told you that AUG is the code for the methionine, which is the first amino acid, or you can say which is the first transfer initiating amino acid, I told you. So it is the messenger RNA bearing the codes. Translation occurs in cytosol on ribosomes and is guided by messenger RNA. Yes, it is on ribosomes. And what are ribosomes? I will be telling you. Basic plan of protein synthesis in eukaryotes is similar to that in prokaryotes, almost same. Okay, there also there is a difference in the ribosome. So I will be telling you. These are the requirements for the translation, that we are having a messenger RNA. We need a messenger RNA because it is having codons. We have a transfer RNA because they are having the amino acids and anticodons. Ribosome is the machinery where the proteins will be synthesized, and energy in the form of ATP and GTP. ATP and GTP, they are required for the addition of codon to anticodon, for the correct binding, for the shifting translocation. These energies are required. Few enzymes and specific protein factors are also required in the translation. It is a symbolic diagram of messenger RNA, that 5' to 3', a messenger RNA. First codon is AUG, which is a initiating codon. Second codon, third codon, fourth codon, fifth codon, sixth codon, and ultimately we are having a termination codon. Termination codon means which will decide that here is the end of the protein. Here no more amino acid has to be added and protein is finally synthesized. It is the termination codon. 3 termination codons I told you. So you should remember those termination codons. We are having a cap here on the 5' side. It is adenylate guanylate cap, and we are having a poly A tail at the 3' end. I told you this poly A tail was not transcribed by the messenger RNA, is not transcribed here from the DNA, but it is the addition on the messenger RNA 3' end A. So it is a poly A tail. It is the symbolic diagram of the amino acid transfer RNA. Actually, the transfer RNA is transfer RNA only, and when a amino acid will get bind to it will known as the amino acid transfer RNA. Amino acid transfer RNA after the addition of the amino acid. So you will find amino acid here. Let's take the example of methionine here. Okay, first amino acid is methionine. So presume that methionine is here on CCA 3' site, methionine. And here you will find the anticodon of the methionine. Okay, the codon for the methionine will be in the messenger RNA. It is the diagram of the symbolic diagram of the amino acid transfer RNA. It is a picture of ribosomes. It is a prokaryotic ribosome. It is eukaryotic ribosome. Prokaryotic ribosomes is 70S and eukaryotic ribosome is 80S. The bigger unit is of 50S, the smaller is of 30S. Here the bigger of 60S and smaller is 40S. 50 and 30 80S, not like that. It is not arithmetic, my dear students. It is the sedimentation coefficient. So if you completely centrifuge this ribosome, it will show you a sedimentation at the 70. So totally it is 70. In small pieces it is 50 and it is 30. In eukaryotes it is 60 and it is 40, and altogether it is 80S. S is sedimentation coefficient. Okay. So what is there in the smaller subunit? 16S ribosomal RNA and 21 proteins. Okay. 50S, 55 ribosomal RNA, 23 small ribosomal RNA, and 36 proteins. Here in 60S you will find 5S ribosomal RNA, 285 ribosomal RNA, 5 to 8S ribosomal RNA, and 47 proteins. And in 40S you will get 18 this S ribosomal RNA and 33 proteins. So it is an overall picture of the ribosomes, and it is the difference in the ribosomes. That is in prokaryotes it is 70S, in eukaryotes it is 80S. Here the biggest unit is 50, here it is 60, here it is 30, here it is 40. These are the eukaryotic translation. It is the stages. Activation of amino acid means amino acid is getting binded to the energy. Initiation, how the first codon anticodon pairing is there. Elongation, how the protein chain is elongated. Termination, how the protein chain is stopped, terminated. First of all, activation of amino acids. Amino acid activation takes place in the cytosol. In activation of amino acid, each of the 20 amino acids is conventionally attached to their respective transfer RNA. Okay, each of the 20 amino acids covalently attached to their respective transfer RNA at the expense of ATP by amino acid transfer RNA synthase. Amino acid transfer RNA synthase. It is not synthase, it should be synthetase. I will make it correct. Amino acid transfer RNA synthetases enzymes. You come here. It is the transfer RNA having a 3 site, 5 site also. Methionine initiating amino acid will combine to it. Why? Because it is bearing the anticodon for the methionine. UAC is the anticodon of the methionine. So the transfer RNA, which is having a anticodon of a particular amino acid, that particular amino acid will get binded to that particular transfer RNA. So here it is methionine and here it is UAC, the anticodon of the methionine. So they are combining, and this attachment is energy dependent because a ATP molecule is coming here changing to AMP, an inorganic phosphate, pyrophosphate, and this methionine is get attached here, and we are having amino acid transfer RNA. Amino acid transfer RNA, activation of amino acid by amino acid transfer RNA synthetase. Okay, because it is ATP, energy dependencies are synthetases. If synthase is there, it is energy independent. If it is energy dependent, it is synthase. Okay, so kinases and synthetases both are energy dependent enzymes. So activation of amino acid by amino acid transfer RNA synthetase. Okay, if it is methionine, then methionine transfer RNA synthetase. If it is valine, valine transfer RNA synthetase. If it is serine, sericil transfer RNA synthetase, like that. Initiation is involving ribosomal dissociation. If it is a prokaryote, then 50S and 30S separated out. 50S is separate, 30S is separate. If it is eukaryotic, then it is 60 and 40. 60S is separate, 40S is separate. Formation of 43S pre-initiation complex. Formation of 48S initiation complex. Formation of 80S initiation complex. Okay, these is the steps of initiation. Eukaryotic ribosome, it is 80S and bigger unit is of 60S, smaller unit is of 40S. Ribosomes have 3 sites: amino acyl site, peptidyl site, E site. A and P site bind to the amino acid transfer RNA. E site bind only to uncharged transfer RNAs. Okay. In older books, you were having only A and P sites. This E site addition is extra. E site bind only to uncharged transfer RNA. Otherwise, they are important. A and P site bind to the amino acid transfer RNA. 40S subunit of the ribosome bind 2 initiation factors. (40S subunit means smaller subunit of ribosome bind 2 initiation factors, EIF3 and EIF1A, and dissociates 80S into 2 subunits, 40S and sub 60S. Okay, 40S subunit of ribosome bind 2 initiation factors, E1F3, E1F1A, and dissociates 80S into 2 subunits, 40S and 60S. Right? So because there are 2 subunits in 80S, 40S and 60S. 60S and 40S, and they are the initiation factors 1 and 3. So after this 40S is separate and 60S is separate. And we are having initiation factors here, 1A and 3. Binding of GTP with initiation factor 2. GTP initiation factor 2 bind to the methionine transfer RNA. GTP elongation factor 2 RNA a ternary complex bind to 40S ribosomal subunit to form 43S pre-initiation complex, and 43S pre-initiation complex is stabilized by association with elongation initiation factor 3 and initiation factor 1A. Okay. In prokaryotes, the first amino acid methionine is modified by formation of its amino acid to N-formyl methionine, and initiator transfer RNA is F-formyl transfer RNA, FMET. Okay? See this picture. Here, on the P site, okay? Here in between is a P site, here it is E site, here it is A site. And these sites are in the smaller subunits also. It is E, P and A. So I told you that P and A are important, P and A. So they are here, P and A. P and A in the bigger also. So you will find on the P site that a transfer RNA is coming here. First of all, this transfer RNA, which is bearing a anticodon of the methionine, will get methionine also binded here, and this full amino methionine transfer RNA will bind to the initiation factor 2 and a molecule of GTP, and this complete unit will come here, elongation initiation factor with 2 GTP, and this is coming here. Okay, it is having here initiation factor 1, A and 3. So 2 is coming here, 1 is here, 3 is here. Okay, so it is binded here. It is binded here, and this binding is by ATP dependent. ATP dependent scanning to locate AUG codon. Okay, so this complete will come and it will be here, AUG. So UAC and AUG will combine, and this cap is ensuring the correct binding on AUG of this complete unit UAC. So this will come. So at a particular time, you will have a picture that this messenger RNA is having initiating codon, and full ribosome, a smaller subunit of ribosome will come here and will bind, and right, this AUG will bind to the UAC. So part of this will be in the ribosome. In your library, you will find the book of Leninger. So there you will get very good pictures of this. Binding of messenger RNA to the 43S pre-initiation complex form 48S the initiation complex. The association of messenger RNA with 43S initiation complex require cap binding protein CBP or elongation factor 4 and ATP. Okay, it is cap binding protein. So this is the cap, so it is cap binding protein, ATP, right? So this GTP was used for the binding of this elongation factor 2 and methionine to the transfer RNA, and here the ATP is required for the binding of codon and anticodon, and a protein known as cap binding protein is helping here for the correct binding. Okay, this cap binding protein is also known as initiation factor 4. Otherwise, you can use the term cap binding protein. So, elongation factor 1 is here, 2 is here in bringing the F-methionine here, transfer RNA, and 3 is also here, and 4th here CBP So you will find the initiating complex. Okay, and in the ribosome, this messenger RNA is get binded to the ribosomal RNA. Binding of messenger RNA to the 40F3S pre-initiation complex forms 48S initiation complex. The association of messenger RNA with 43S initiation complex require cap binding protein CBP or elongation factor 4 and ATP. See here, it is 48S initiation complex after the binding of messenger RNA to the ribosome. So you will find a UAC in front of AUG. It is the codon and anticodon binding. It is facilitated by the ATP and elongation factor 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So after this making this 48S initiation complex, what will happen? The bigger subunit which was separated earlier will also come and will join here. So we will make full ribosome, which is 80S initiation complex. Okay, full ribosome here, and it is by the elongation initiation factor 5. So it is 80S initiation complex that we are having the first codon anticodon binding, but second codon is in front of A, where the second transfer RNA should come. Okay. Combination of a 38 initiation complex with 68 ribosomal subunit forms 80S initiation complex. Hydrolysis of the GTP bound to the initiation factor 2 by initiation factor or 5. Release of the initiation factor bound to the 48 subunit initiation complex. At this stage, the methionine transfer RNA is on the P site of the ribosome, so that the anticodon pairs with the initiating AUG codon on the messenger RNA, and it is now ready for the elongation process. Okay, you got it? I showed you in the picture that it is the 80S initiation complex where you will find the 5' 3' messenger RNA. First codon is AUG. It's got its transfer RNA. Here you are having the amino acid methionine. It is the anticodon-codon pairing. Elongation. Elongation can be divided into following steps. Binding of amino acid transfer RNA specified by the next codon in the messenger RNA to the A site, means the second codon. Second codon is binding to the second amino acid transfer RNA, which is bearing having the, I don't know which is the second amino acid. It may be any amino acid which is present as on the second. So its codon is on the second position. Its anticodon is another transfer RNA which is bearing that amino acid. It may be anyone, I don't know. Binding of amino acid transfer RNA is specified by the next codon in the messenger RNA to the A site. Okay, B site occupied already. Now A is vacant. So here the second transfer RNA will come and bind. Formation of peptide bond between amino acids present in P and A site of the ribosome. Formation of peptide bond between amino acid P and A site of the ribosome. What does it mean? It means the amino acid, first amino acid which was methionine, now should shift to the second amino acid, right? And should make a peptide bond between two amino acids present in P and A site of the ribosome, and then translocation of the ribosome along with the messenger RNA, right? in such a way that it is translocated by one codon. Translocation of the ribosome along with the messenger RNA, elimination of deacylated transfer RNA from the P and E site. Okay, next picture I will show you. See, it is ATS initiation complex. Now, second amino acid, AA2, along with GTP, and elongation factor 1 will come here. And will bind where? On the A site. The methionine was on the first P site. Now it is shifted to A site. Now what will happen? The methionine will get shifted to the second amino acid like this. Will make a peptide bond. You know that in the proteins, the amino acids are joined by the peptide bond. So the methionine will come here and it will shift to the second amino acid. Sorry. So this 5 prime, it is 3 prime, and now this methionine will shift to the second amino acid. After this shifting, you will find that this transfer RNA is vacant here. It is free. And now here it is shifted. Now translocation means this will shift in such a way here that the 3 will come at the place of 2. The 2 will be at the place of 1. Okay? And the 1 will be here. So you will find this methionine, after that shifting of methionine, it is a vacant transfer RNA. So it is shifted. And all the second amino acid contents are shifted to P. And now A is again vacant. After the shifting here, P is vacant. Okay, it is shifted here. A is vacant and the content of A shifted to P. How the peptide bond is formed? You see, it is methionine and it is second amino acid. So it is binded here by the peptidyl transferase ribozyme. This enzyme is formed. So it is methionine, it is second amino acid, R2. Okay. Peptidyl transferase and they are shifting. So what picture you are having? You are having a vacant A here. The contents of the A are shifted here. Methionine, second amino acid. And this empty transfer RNA is shifted, free and released. So here a new amino acid will come. Okay. After the translocation, a new amino acid will come. Methionine. Okay. So again and again, you will find a new amino acid is coming here in the transfer RNA. It complete unit, methionine, second amino acid will shift here, third amino acid. Like that, the protein chain will start get elongated. Okay. And you will find the protein chain up until it is reaching to termination codon. When you are reaching to termination codon. So it is terminated here. C-terminal end of the polypeptide. It is N-terminal, it is C-terminal. Okay. So ribosomal complex with elongated polypeptide and appearance of termination codon of the messenger RNA in A site. Termination codon will direct it that okay, the protein has been synthesized, stop please. So this termination codon will stop the process. Elongation steps are repeated until one of the three UAA, UAG, UGA, they are the termination codons. So any one of them, termination or nonsense codon of the messenger RNA appears in A site. Okay. So when any one of them will come in the A site, the protein will be terminated. Once the ribosome reaches to a termination codon, releasing factors are capable of recognizing the termination signal present in the A site. Prokaryotes have three release factor 1, release factor 2 and release factor 3, but eukaryotes have only single release factor, releasing factor F. Releasing factors GTP and peptidyl transferase hydrolyze the peptidyl transfer RNA bond, and this hydrolysis releases the polypeptide and transfer RNA from the P site. So our protein is synthesized. Upon hydrolysis and release of the polypeptide, the messenger RNA is then released from the ribosome. So protein chain has been detached, and now messenger RNA is also released from the ribosome. Upon hydrolysis and release of polypeptide, the messenger RNA is then released from the ribosome, and ribosome then dissociates into 60S and 40A subunits, which are recycled. Ribosome then again into 60 and 40S for the biosynthesis of a new protein. Okay, so temporarily the ribosome was used, temporarily the messenger RNA was used. Okay. C-terminal, N-terminal, ribosomal complex with elongated polypeptide and appearance of termination codon of messenger RNA on the A site. So it is terminated, messenger RNA is separate, transfer RNA is separate, ribosome is separate, and it is newly synthesized protein. Okay, these are the releasing factors, GTP. So there is a good amount of GTP used in the protein synthesis. ATPs are also used for the binding of codon and anticodon. Now come to the folding and processing of the proteins. In order to achieve biologically active form of protein, the new polypeptide must fold into its proper three-dimensional conformations. In order to achieve biologically active form of protein, the new polypeptide must fold into its proper three-dimensional conformations. You understand very well that a protein should be in three-dimensional structure. That is known as the quaternary structure of the protein. The protein should be in a quaternary form. Before or after folding, the new polypeptide may undergo enzymatic processing, including removal of one or more amino acids, usually from the amino terminal, from the A site. Addition of acetyl, phosphoryl, methyl, carboxyl, or other group to the certain amino acid residues, proteolytic cleavage, attachment of oligosaccharide or prosthetic group. Okay, if it is a glycoprotein, then you will find a sugar moiety. If it is a some other protein, then you will also find some other molecule attaching to it. Role of molecular chaperones in folding of protein. Folding for many proteins require chaperones proteins that interact with partially folded or improperly folded polypeptide. Okay. Facilitating correct folding pathway or providing micro environments in which folding can occur. Okay, they are known as chaperones. They are also proteins that it interact with partially folded or improperly folded polypeptide, facilitating correct folding pathway or providing microenvironments in which folding can occur, and several types of molecular chaperones are found in organisms ranging from bacteria to human. Two major families of chaperones are HSP70 family and chaperones. Clinical significance of chaperones. There are many disorders associated with mutations in genes encoding chaperones that can affect muscle, bone, and or central nervous system. There are many disorders. Before or after folding, the polypeptide may undergo processing by enzymatic action. Collectively, these alterations are known as post-translational modifications. Post-translational modifications may include removal of part of the translated amino acid sequence or the covalent addition of one or more chemical groups required for protein activity. Some types of post-translational modifications are listed below. Okay, post-translational modifications. They are amino terminal and C-terminal modifications, loss of signaling sequence, AA polytail, attachment of carbohydrate side chains. They all are removed types of post-translational modifications. Modification of individual amino acid, glycosylation, phosphorylation, carboxylation, hydroxylation, methylation, addition of any other prosthetic group, proteolytic processing, formation of disulfide cross-links. Okay, you may have a question that how post-translational modifications are included in the protein synthesis. So you should remember these all: glycosylation, phosphorylation, carboxylation, hydroxylation, methylation. After the addition of proteins, addition of prosthetic group, proteolytic processing, formation of disulfide cross-links. Because a protein can be activated when particularly it is following primary structure, it is following a secondary structure, tertiary structure, and quaternary structure. Where it is in quaternary structure, it can be activated, otherwise it will not function properly. Now there are some inhibitors of the protein synthesis. A number of commonly used pharmaceutical agents such as variety of antibiotics acts by inhibiting selectively of the process of prokaryotic translation, bacteria. The most useful of this class of antibiotics do not interact with the component of eukaryotic ribosomal particles, means they are not disturbing your protein synthesis. They will inhibit the protein synthesis in the bacteria and thus are not toxic to eukaryotes. Such antibiotics can be used as the therapeutic drugs. It is streptomycin, tetracycline, chloramphenicol. They are binding the inhibiting the protein synthesis steps. Okay, so they are in the tabular form. You can read from the table. Erythromycin, lincomycin, clindamycin, puromycin, cycloheximide. They are different antibiotics. Protein targeting and sorting. Okay, so antibiotics you should remember. And I gave you a list of all the antibiotics and what they are inhibiting. Some are inhibiting 70S, some are inhibiting 50S, some are inhibiting a particular action in the protein synthesis. Protein targeting and protein sorting, its mechanism by which a cell transport protein to the appropriate position in the cell or outside of it. Okay, it is protein targeting. Where the protein should go, hemoglobin to blood. Protein targeting or protein stronging is the mechanism by which a cell transport protein to the appropriate position in the cell or outside it. The pathways by which proteins are sorted and transported to their proper cellular location are referred to as protein targeting or sorting pathways. Proteins can be targeted to the where inner space of an organelle, different intracellular membrane, plasma membrane, or to exterior of the cell via secretion. Okay. This delivery process is carried out based on information contained in the protein itself. Correct sorting is crucial for the cell. Errors can lead to the disease. Okay. This delivery process is carried out based on the information contained in the protein itself. The protein itself is having a message where it should go. The correct sorting is crucial for the cell, otherwise errors can lead to the diseases. And protein target system is depending on the short sequence of amino acid called signaling sequence at amino newly sized proteins. Okay. So there are 2-3 slides more, but time is not permitting. So what I will be covering, I will be covering these 2-3 slides because our next chapter is small and I will cover here. Okay. Thank you very much, students.